Welcome to the Bullpen, a monthly conversation about the markets as we check in with Tommy Grisafi from Advanced Trading, of course, at Mayville, North Dakota. Great to visit with you once again, Tommy.
Don, another month has flown by, and we're here again visiting about the markets, and there was not a dull moment in the month of April.
Not at all. Let's look back at this month from a price perspective. What kind of changes did we see?
I'm going to have to put my glasses on. I just took them off, but when you hit my age, Don, you'll see in a few years when you catch up with me.
Yeah.
Let's talk the meats real quick. Cattle, June cattle down 450. June hogs down 14 points, $14. That's a big move. We're at high levels, but these are pretty big moves. Those are big moves in the meats. So you got your feeders down $10. May feeders down $10. Now, how and why did that happen? Look at corn, Don. July corn up 80 cents on the month. Board of Trade wheat up 53, and of course, Minneapolis wheat had a good run at it too this month. NKC. July Board of Trade soybeans up over 85 cents on the month. If only we would have told our listeners and viewers what was going to happen before, they could have made a ton of money, right? They need to buy grain, sell meats, and we'll see if that continues. There's a lot going on.
Obviously, this cold, wet weather has to be a part of that story, particularly for what's going on in the grains and the oilseed markets.
Absolutely. So, in your neck of the woods, you have everything. You have snow, you have water. It's not uncommon for your area to have some spring flooding. I guess we with the way the snow came and then the water. But when I look at the weather map today being the end of April or the 1st of May as folks are watching this, we don't have any heat coming into North Dakota till about May 12th through 15th. And when I say heat, I mean that we're getting into the 60-degree level. So there's rules or strong suggestions of not to plant corn seed in the cold ground, and we can talk to an agronomist about that. Guys are going to have to start going at some point with some beans here. The wheat window, I don't know what's going to happen with wheat, Don. They're just, are they going to plant wheat real late? And as you know from doing various crop tours over the years, wheat doesn't need forever to grow as far as time, but you don't want it going through a hot, windy, dry July month as it's at that crucial state. So they like to get it in early. My guys who grow big wheat bushels say they love when they get it in early and hit those a nice mild summer. They can grow some big bushels of wheat. But now planting it late, they're almost guaranteed to hit heat, assuming it's going to warm up one day. So I think we're going to lose some wheat acres. I believe you and I, maybe in 3-4 weeks, whenever guys get rolling, we'd like to go for a ride and go check out what's going on. There could be a massive switch of millions of acres. I do believe every acre that can be planted will be planted into something. I'm hearing talks of PP, but we have the whole month of May and the first few weeks of June to plant something in the North Dakota ground and Minnesota. So we'll see. These prices are begging the American farmer to get out there and plant corn. The market wants more corn acres. And Don, we just don't have the acres to give. I mean, you've traveled all over the country. The I-states they don't have any more acres to give. We're homes and dollar stores and cornfields. That's it, and colleges.
Oh,
So, yes, sir?
and then you throw into it the Biden administration making some announcements as it relates to ethanol, as it relates to some food security issues, encouraging some double cropping of soybeans after winter wheat. That also kind of adds a little, fuel to the fire here.
That was interesting. So they're definitely trying to encourage people to plant, get one crop out, get another crop in. I wonder if we'll hear something from the USDA here in the following weeks of if they would, prevent plant's not the answer. If you want to feed the world, taking a check based on the spring prevent plant price isn't that great of an idea financially compared to planting something and ending up with those bushels. Now, there's going to be a guy out there who's going to watch that and say, you don't understand, our ground's not going to dry out till July 1st. I get it. Don't be mad at me. I didn't make it rain. But if you want to make a ton of money, it's going to be by being in the bushel business. And it doesn't matter what bushel you plant. It doesn't matter if it's sunflowers. It doesn't matter. Get something in there. Of course, there's a fertilizer issue and availability of seed and everything else, but the market wants additional acres. It wants bushels, and the difference versus if we would have done this talk 2 years ago. 2 years ago, corn was in the lower threes going to two with a 3 billion carryout. Now we're in the eights for old crop, seven for new crop, and then sixes for multiple years after that. Deese 2023 corn is 675. Deese 2024 corn is $6. This is not your normal summer Board of Trade brokers and weathermen trying to get people all revved up that we're going to have a big market. We have a huge market for multiple years. And I'm starting to wonder, as you talk about the Biden administration, as they try to tip their hat and make themselves look good and say, we're going to get fuel prices down. If you're taking corn and using it for fuel, which is fine for me, I'd like it a little better when we have a lot of extra corn, but we don't have the extra corn right now. And so when you look at, I know what prices the local companies in North Dakota are paying for cash corn right now. It's unbelievable the amount of money that goes into growing a crop. So this is not like any other year we've had before. This isn't a flash in the pan. Corn was $4. It went to $5 for a few days and went back down to $3.50. We're at 8, 7, and 6 for the next 4 years. And there's never been anything like this. I hope there's never anything like this again, at least for the sake of the world. Because the truth is, Don, as you and I know, there's going to be a lot of people who are going to go without food because at these levels, they can't afford to put as much food on the table as they did a year ago.
Yeah, food security becomes a big issue. Obviously, the backdrop of all of this is the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Are you surprised this war is still going on at the point we are at this point?
I'm very surprised. I have to admit, when the war broke out, I was surprised. I went back and looked at history. I thought it would be a couple week event. When you talk to, I haven't looked at the numbers recently, but I want to say 5 to 6 million people have left the country. They're struggling to put a crop in. A lot of their export ability has been decimated. Ports are ruined. Even if the war ended today, the problems will languish for years. Supply chain issues are broke. There's some major problems going out there, and that's the Ukraine war. We haven't dared to talk about what's going on in China with lockdowns there. They're at a COVID level, and the way they're acting is where we were a few years ago. So there's some things I'm seeing, and when you look at the price of corn and you talk to guys on LaSalle Street here at the Board of Trade, we're old school. We think if the Iowa farmer's rolling, this market's going to tumble. There may be something much greater going on, and if I had to guess what that was, there's people hedging both buying and selling, but your natural seller's gone. That's the American farmer. They're not interested in selling at these levels because maybe they've sold at much lower levels than this, and they haven't put the crop in. So if the crop starts to go in and that natural seller, the American farmer, doesn't show up, then what the Board of Trade contract's being used for, the corn contract, is to hedge the world's food and fertilizer bets that we have a major fertilizer problem in the world. Last time you and I did one of these videos, I think I had said we may have a strategic oil reserve, but we don't have a strategic fertilizer reserve. And you and I both know who controls that fertilizer, my friend.
Yeah. And one other thing we talk about is what's going on in these outside markets. That dollar's been screaming higher as well. When we look at interest rates, the Fed obviously hasn't intervened at this point yet, but we have obviously seen these interest rates make some changes.
Yeah, so the Fed, the rates are at the same rate they were last time we talked, but the market, the 30-year market, the 10-year, the 5-year, the 2-year market, all these instruments are traded at the Board of Trade, and there's a cash government bond market that trades hundreds of billions of dollars of instruments a day. These markets have adjusted to an interest rate that would look like the Fed raising interest rates at least 4.5% move. So in the old days, a 30-year bond with good credit, you can get a mortgage at 3.5%. figure 3.5, figure 4 if you had a little problem with your credit. Mortgage rates now are every bit of 5.25 with any credit problem, 6, 6.5, 7. Tie that into agriculture. When you need to borrow money to grow a crop, to grow the crop's worth twice as much as it used to be. So just to handle the goods and service of this crop has really increased. And I think that's something that'll play out, and we'll talk a lot more in 2023. Right now in 2022, everyone's just got their fingers crossed. They have what they need bought to buy this crop. They were sitting with some good cash, whether it be money left over from PP, the ability to grow bushels last year and sell them at a good price. But moving forward, if grain prices stay elevated across the world and inputs stay equally as elevated, the cost of doing business is going to explode. So not only does it cost you twice as much to grow a crop, not only is your crop worth twice as much, but to carry that debt or to borrow money has doubled along with everything else. And that, the mathematics of farming has changed, and you need to sharpen your pencil. Things look good now, and they may be good for a few years. America, I don't need to be doom and gloom. America is probably the American farmers benefiting from the world's problems more than anyone, as we provide food security not only for ourselves, but as we try to feed the world.
Yeah. As always, no shortage of topics. We appreciate the chance each month to sit down and talk about what's going on in the market news. Tommy, appreciate your time again.
Thank you, Don.
Tommy Grisafi from Advanced Trading, of course, based at Mayville, North Dakota. Until the next edition of The Bullpen, I'm Don Wick on the Red River Farm Network.